Today we're diving into how nuclear fission could play a pivotal role in reducing carbon emissions. But first, let's understand the major effects of climate change. Climate change is driven primarily by the increase of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. These gases trap heat, leading to global warming. The consequences are profound. Rising sea levels threaten coastal cities and islands. Extreme weather events such as hurricanes and heat waves are becoming more frequent and severe, and ecosystems are disrupted, leading to loss of biodiversity. Nuclear fission, with its low carbon footprint, presents a promising option in this fight against climate change. I'm your host, Rowan Foey, and joining me are three experts who will present different perspectives on this topic. Let's get started.
Thank you, Rowan. Before we can discuss the complexities of nuclear fission, it is important to understand how it works. Nuclear fission works by splitting the nucleus of an atom, typically uranium-235 or plutonium-239, releasing a large amount of energy in the form of heat. This heat is used to generate steam, which drives turbines to produce electricity. Unlike fossil fuels, nuclear fission does not produce carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases during operation, making it a critical tool in our efforts to combat climate change. I believe nuclear fission should be made a primary source of energy to significantly reduce carbon emissions. Nuclear power is reliable, low-carbon energy source that can provide stable electricity supply while helping to combat climate change.
That's a compelling thesis, Merrick. Luke, what's your perspective on this?
Thank you, Rowan. While nuclear fission has its benefits, we must also consider the need for a diversified energy portfolio. Nuclear energy should be paired with other renewable energy sources such as wind and solar. Research shows that this will be essential as they provide flexibility and can help meet peak demand periods when nuclear energy plants may not be as adaptable. And they provide a renewable energy source without the large need for space that a nuclear power plant needs. To do this, the U.S. will need to subsidize costs of wind turbines and solar panels.
Interesting point, Luke. Now, Caden, you have an opposing claim to...
Thanks, Rowan. You guys have brought up some great points about the benefits of nuclear fission, but you're neglecting the major drawbacks of it. I believe nuclear fission has significant risk to public safety and the environment. Nuclear fission has various disadvantages compared to other energy production sources. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, the U.S. alone produces 2,000 metric tons of used nuclear fuel each year. Now, it's important as nuclear waste stays radioactive for tens of thousands of years and can harm the health of people and the environment. Also, in the past, we've also seen disastrous accidents caused by the nuclear fission. Chernobyl and Fukushima are examples of these accidents. Combined, these nuclear meltdowns are responsible for over 4,000 deaths. The initial radiation from these explosions caused at least the surrounding 20 miles to be immediately uninhabitable.
Thank you, Caden. Merrick, how would you like to respond to these concerns?
It's important to acknowledge these risks with nuclear fission, but it's also essential to consider the advancements in technology and safety protocols since those incidents. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, Generation 3 plus reactors are designed to be 100 times safer than the early Generation 2 reactors, with advanced safety systems such as passive safety features that require no active controls or operator actions to shut down safely in the event of an emergency. Additionally, the amount of waste produced by nuclear power is relatively small and can be safely stored and managed. The benefits of reducing carbon emissions and providing a reliable source of energy outweigh these risks when managed responsibly.
Luke, do you agree with Merrick's rebuttal?
Yes, I do. It's crucial to weigh the risks and benefits of nuclear fission carefully. While safety and waste management are valid concerns, it's important to consider that nuclear power has potential to play a significant role in reducing global carbon emissions and achieving sustainable energy goals. According to the International Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, nuclear power plants produce 3.5 grams of carbon dioxide, equivalent per kilowatt hour, over their life cycle, compared to coal at 820 grams per kilowatt hour.
Thank you both for your insights. Caden, you mentioned the risks of nuclear proliferation and waste disposal. How do you think these concerns can be addressed?
The issue of nuclear proliferation, which is the rapid development and use of nuclear devices, is very serious, as it could lead to an increased risk of nuclear war and a higher risk of nuclear accidents and miscalculations. We must ensure strict international regulations and oversight to prevent the misuse of nuclear materials. As for waste disposal, more research and investment are needed to develop safer and more efficient methods of storing and recycling nuclear waste.
Those are some important considerations, Caden. Merrick, how do you propose addressing these challenges?
I agree that nuclear proliferation and waste management are critical issues. International cooperation and agreements such as the Non-Proliferation Treaty play a crucial role in preventing the spread of nuclear weapons. Regarding the waste disposal, nuclear waste is managed through a process called geological disposal, where high-level radioactive waste is stored deep underground in a stable geological formations. Countries like Finland and Sweden are leading the way with advanced repositories designed to safely contain and isolate nuclear waste for thousands of years. Both the World Nuclear Association and the IAEA agree that if nuclear energy production significantly increases, we can manage the additional nuclear waste by expanding geological repositories and developing advanced waste recycling technologies such as reprocessing and transmutation, which can reduce the volume and toxicity of the waste, making long-term storage more efficient and safer.
Thank you, Merrick. Luke, what are your thoughts on the role of renewable energy in conjunction with nuclear fission?
Renewable energy sources like wind and solar will be essential partners to nuclear fission in our energy transition. They provide clean energy that can be deployed rapidly and are suitable for decentralization. By combining nuclear power with renewable and energy storage technologies, we can create a resilient and sustainable energy system that meets both environmental and energy security goals. According to the International Renewable Energy Agency, onshore wind capacity grew from 178 gigawatts in 2010 to 699 gigawatts in 2020, while offshore wind has grown proportionally more but from a lower base, from 3.1 gigawatts in 2010 to 34.4 gigawatts in 2020. Production of wind power increased by a factor of 5.2 between 2009 and 2019 to reach 1,412 terawatts per hour. While according to the Frontier Group, solar power continues to expand rapidly. The United States now has 121.4 gigawatts of solar photovoltaic capacity, producing through solar energy to power more than 23 million homes.
Well said, Luke. As we wrap up, Caden, any final thoughts?
We should prioritize safer and more sustainable renewable energy sources like wind and solar. These energy sources have fewer risks and can be used and developed more rapidly. If we can further invest in these technologies, we will ensure a cleaner and safer energy future for everybody.
Thank you, Caden. And Merrick, any closing remarks?
I encourage listeners to consider nuclear fission as part of a balanced energy strategy that includes renewables. By diversifying our energy sources, we can meet growing energy demands while reducing our carbon footprint.
Thank you to all our guests for sharing your expertise today, and thank you to our listeners for joining us. This concludes our podcast on the future of nuclear fission and renewable energy. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.